Good afternoon or good evening, everybody, wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are. I'm Kamara Yellis. Welcome to the Finance Rebel Show. Today is a special edition. I got a call, got a text from a buddy of mine, Joanna Jane, who you see right there to the left of me or the right of me, where you're looking. She is the CEO of O'Hara Development. And so we wanted to come on today and just talk about some do's and don'ts in this time of crisis. So we're calling today Coins in the Crisis, how to handle your money in this time of crisis, how to be smart with your money, how to be conscious with your money, and how to survive with your money intact during this time. So say hello to everybody, Joanna.
Hey, folks. I'm glad to be on the show. Got a chance to finally connect with you. We done seen each other in a couple different rooms. Like, let's finally just do this.
Yeah, you busy. You ain't got time for small time folks like me, but
Oh, gosh. Here you
I'm
go.
glad you got time for me today. Listen, I got jokes.
Cool. No, this is cool.
I
Um,
got jokes.
this was really good. A good time to link up. And then plus, this is a time where a lot of people are like, what are some things I needed to get to that I probably wasn't getting to because I was ripping and running all the time. So this is
Right.
one of those moments for me. So this is good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you and your family are good wherever you are in the world today.
Yes, overall we're good. I was able to make, thank God, we were able to make a quick run out to the store. I try to keep my daughter at home when I had to make these, trips. So I ran out to the market this morning, got a couple necessities, came pretty much right back in. I'm experiencing very similar to what other people experience. Well, we have toilet paper, thank you, Jesus, but we don't have paper towel. But we're gonna make a trip probably to Sam's at some point to get paper towel, but we're experiencing, very similar to the rest of the folks out here.
But see, you can make it through without having paper towels. You can always use a regular towel.
That is true.
Toilet paper, on the other hand, is a little bit different, right? You got to be a little bit more ingenuitive in dealing with that one. I ain't gonna go too deep because I don't want to offend nobody.
Listen, this is what I told people. I said, let me tell you something. Brown folks, we will get through this. We know
Absolutely.
how to get through hard times.
We
Okay?
adapt quickly.
Yes, we do.
We adapt quickly. We adapt quickly. Absolutely. So, I've been telling people about my toilet paper chronicles, but my wife was able to find like 4 rolls like yesterday. But prior to that, I couldn't find any anywhere, and I had to depend on the generosity of others. Uh, Middle-aged lady, sister, gave me a 4-pack. She heard me in the store asking around. And then the other day over the weekend, I experienced some fraud on my business account. I've
Ooh.
never been to Louisiana in my life, but apparently I spent $200 down there, and I had to go in and get a new card. Actually, though, I'm actually prayerful and thankful that it wasn't more, because I don't have the money to be giving out to folks. But the bank manager in there gave me a roll, so I'm happy about that too. Right? Count it all joy.
Amen. That kind of leads into probably one of the things to do in this this crisis era is making sure that you're checking up on your credit card statements. If you have
Yes,
an app, check your app like every day, just making sure it's reflecting your purchases only and not somebody else's, because people are desperate out here. We're more
yeah,
desperate than they were before.
absolutely. And that's the thing that bugs me more than anything else, right? It's the desperation and the anxiety of people's reaction to what's going on. I know we're going to make it through to the other side. However, I don't know how easy or how hard it's going to be, because again, people are really in their feelings. All the bread's gone, all the toilet paper is gone. There's a lot of other things the hand sanitizer's gone. I saw a video of a lady who was a nurse the other day, and she said she tried to go get some things in between shifts at the hospital because she's been working like 24 to 48-hour shifts,
Mm.
and she couldn't get anything. She couldn't find anything. And she said, listen, I'm the person you have to rely on if you get sick. You need me to be in good condition.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we should probably set stuff aside for essential staff,
Hmm.
just to make sure that they're cool, food, the essentials and things like that. But I don't know if people are thinking that far ahead.
No, I think right now, and I think this is part of the reason why we need to almost to a degree like monitor. Like, granted, yes, stay up to date with what's happening, but we need to monitor how much time we're sitting and digesting this information,
Right.
because it only ramps up your fear even more. But
Exactly.
I'm also at the same time very much on the side of, what could you be doing in this gap? So, okay, you watched the news this morning. Now, what could you be doing? Like, be cautious yet be prepared. So, how could you be preparing for the other side of this? Which, we had mentioned a little bit about taking an assessment of your spending habits, right? Like, where was I once spending money before? Where right now I'm not even allowed to even do that. There is no happy hours for me. I can't just up and run to the store and buy clothes or buy a new pair of J's just because. So how often was I probably doing this stuff before where now I can reallocate that money and probably either, save more or invest in
Right.
the area.
Right. I mean, you could always do some of these social media happy hours. I mean, these Facebook happy hours are jumping off like crazy right now.
Yes, they
But
are.
yeah, but I totally get your point, totally understand, and I totally agree with you. Now is the time to be conservative. Now is the time to be prudent with your funds. Make sure you're not overspending on anything crazy. Make sure that you're stocking up or squirreling away your nuts so you can survive the winter.
Yeah.
And we definitely are in a winter right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, how do you feel about with the slight market shift that we've seen over the last 2-3 days roughly?
I'll be honest, I don't really consider it a shift. I just think it's a reaction to all the stimulus talk coming out of DC. I think we're going to experience market volatility or stock market roller coaster at least until the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time, and people that are watching are probably tired of hearing me say this, but the stock market is a perfect reflection of human emotion,
Yes.
right? So you see the fear, you see the greed, you see the craziness, right? You see all of that, and you could just watch the market just one day, and you could see all those emotions in play.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are kind of being a bit greedy, right? Because they say, oh, this money is about to come down from Washington. How can I get it? And hopefully, I hope folks are being strategic and conscious and thoughtful about this money that's about to come down from DC. I won't talk about it too much because I haven't done a super deep dive. I'm sure I'll talk about it later on, but I know we're talking about $1,200 for a single person up to, I believe, $90,000. I think that's the limit. And I think it's like $500 per child.
Right.
And you were talking about
if they're married, it
if
doubles.
they're married, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If they're married, it's $2,400.
Right.
Which,
So single
that's
times
money
too.
that can go just like that. So
Right.
it's like numbers sound nice, but it can go fast. And then, at the same time, you have an extension on your bills. Nobody said that your bills were being totally eliminated to a degree. Like there are some areas where they're like, okay, we're waiving and there won't be a payment, but you still have bills.
Right.
The month, like that's when we get past this 60-day time period, the bills are still going to come back up. So this is not your time to just go and consume more debt. You want to really be thoughtful about how can this help me get through this time period where I can't go to work or I'm not getting a consistent paycheck. That's what that money is really for. And that's why I'm like, I want people to take this pause moment. I know we're quick to shop, but if we could just take a pause and say, okay, with this money that's coming in, all right, Comcast extended me for 3 weeks. Okay, great. I had said earlier that how Amex, they had waived. Matter of fact, I wrote it down because I said I wanted to be prepared and say it right. They waived no, so there's no late fees until roughly about April 3rd. Got to call them to find out, your specific situation. But there's no interest and no finance charges till May. So like all these things they're extended, but it doesn't mean it's completely gone. Like at some point in time, they're gonna come back around.
It ain't going at all. It's just delayed. They're a little late right now, right? They're giving you a little pause. So yeah, you better be prepared to pay your bills when the time comes. I mean, I know a lot of utilities are also kind of on moratorium right now. I believe Pico in the city is, or electric company in the city is on moratorium. I think some of the cell phones, I know when we talked, you said some of the cell phones are delaying as well. I think you said Sprint.
Yes. So Sprint is not, Sprint has done a 60-day extension where they will not turn your phone off and they will not be charging you any late fees. Basically pay what you're able to pay for the next 60 days, whether that be $0, $10 or 20, whatever your situation is.
So how many people do you think will pay $1 or less?
Because if you don't, you gotta think it's gonna pile up on you, because then once May comes, then you still have May bills, right?
Yep.
And then the stuff that you actually delayed, maybe you didn't, God forbid, if you weren't responsible with the stimulus money that came, now you're still back in the same situation. So my encouragement is, if you're in a position to pay your bills, pay your bills. Or if you're going to space it out and pay the minimum, do that. But make those arrangements and make sure that you call these people. These people are not calling you. Trust me, because they still want to make money and they still need to keep their lights on. So you got to call them to find out, what benefits are out there for you.
Gotcha. Let's take a quick minute just to acknowledge everybody that's in the room. Thank you, everybody that's watching. How you doing, Go CPNG? Good day to you as well. Thank you for watching. Carmela Jean Paul, how you doing? The numbers don't sound nice. I could spend the money in a day on legitimate things. Are you balling? No, I'm just joking. But that's real, right? A couple bills, cell phone, car note, mortgage, that's gone. So I feel you. People should use it as emergency savings. I agree. Carmela, it really isn't a lot of money at all. No, it's not. Leslie K, how are you? Over on YouTube, how are you? And the stimulus payment is also being deducted from refunds next year. Really?
Whoa.
You sure about that? I haven't done the research yet.
I heard that today.
But the question has been, will we have to pay tax on it? So that sounds about right. But I'm going to do the research. I'm going to look at it today, because one of the things I'm getting, a lot of people are hitting me up, and they're worried about. They are worried about having their past year's taxes filed, because their last year's taxes are going to be one of the hurdles they're going to need to get through, either 2018 or 2019. So that's what it's going off of. So I'm gonna be looking that up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Listen, if you have a resource or a link, please share it in the comments. Help me out. Help me do my research. Easy. Listen, I believe in cooperative economics and cooperative coordination as well. So help me out, fam. Now, Carmela said, not surprised because Bush did the same thing. You know what? It's funny. A colleague of mine said that. I don't remember. But I remember when Bush gave that money away and basically blew that whole surplus we had like in 2000-ish, somewhere around there. But I wasn't sure we had to pay tax on it. I don't remember that. But I don't disagree. That's what the government does. That's how they rock. So I'm sure that's what they do. So, a lot of people have been asking me, should they pay their bills? And I talked about this a little bit last night. By the way, if you're just now joining, I am Kamari Ellis. I have my esteemed guest with me, Joanna Jane, today, CEO or the boss of O'Hara Developments. Now, is it O'Hara Developments or is it O'Hara Real Estate Developments?
It's O'Hara Developments.
O'Hara Developments. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And so Carmela came in. So, every day I try to come live, or almost every day I try to come live and give some kind of educational tidbits, some kind of wisdom, some kind of inspiration and direction. And so a lot of people have been asking me, should they pay their bills? So I'm going to read this statement real quick before I go into that. The next year, my tax company tried to deduct it, and I told them I never received the payment, which is why it wasn't deducted. So you didn't get a payment? You must have been making money. They just skipped over you altogether. But, again, I've been getting that same question, should I pay my bills? And me and Joanna have been talking about that. And I say, it's kind of through tracks of people that you should kind of think about. Those that have stable income and those who don't have stable income, like me. And I told y'all last night, basically, I'm trying to keep as much of my cash as possible because I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I am by no way, shape, form, or fashion saying that you should be financially irresponsible. However, I want people to realize that once your money is gone, it's gone. So if you have any debt repayment programs going on right now, and you don't have stable income, I would at least stop, reevaluate, and see where you are, and potentially put them on hold.
Mm-hmm.
Just pause them altogether. You know why? Because if you're paying back an old credit card, trying to get out of debt, you still got to survive the day. And if you need money for an emergency, right, you can't call the credit card company and get it back.
Nope.
So I would say, be fiscally responsible, hold on to that cash, and then see if it makes sense to restart those payments later.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people give me pushback on that. And they say, but I got to get my credit together. I got to increase my credit score. And I say, yeah, you and your kids got to eat every day too. And so one of the reasons why people get into credit debt situations in the first place is because they spend more than what they make.
That's right.
9 times out of 10, or they live above their means. 2, when emergencies arrive or have arisen, they didn't have the cash to satisfy those emergencies. So they either had to borrow or they put it on their card. Had they had the cash in the first place, this wouldn't have been a problem or an incident. I keep telling y'all, cash is king, credit is queen. Together, they are mighty. They are a very mighty, powerful team, and they can build empires or they can destroy them if you are not educated enough to know how to use them properly.
Come on, can I steal that?
Go ahead.
Can I copy that? I need to copy that. I like that.
Do I get credit or no?
Sure, absolutely.
Now,
for the first post. Afterwards, it becomes mine.
All right. But listen, I be having jokes, right? So if you ever see me come on and say, hey, that's my statement, and then do something, don't take it personal. I'm just joking around. But yeah, I am all about us increasing our financial IQ. That's why I do the Finance Rebel Show. I feel like we don't talk enough about money, especially in me and Joanna's community, the Black community. There's barely any talk about money, at least from a responsible and a wealth-minded standpoint. I really feel that most of the money talk is around interest rates to buy a car, interest rates to buy a property, but not for income-producing investments. It's just to live. So we want the big baller house to live in and throw parties in. Listen, that's all well and good, but nobody's thinking about legacy and as it relates to wealth. And, how can we get out of this rat race? Because I'm going to tell you, the people that are hurting right now, the people that are in the rat race, they're living paycheck to paycheck. Had they put their money aside and saved and lived beneath their means, they would be a lot cooler than what they are right now.
Right.
If you are in the Finance Rebel Academy, which is here on Facebook, it's a free group. I actually asked the question, what is your biggest fear right now? Everybody said not having enough money. Right. And so that's real. And so in order for us to really become a better community, become better people, we have to start having more conversations about money. And I know a lot of y'all get on me because I've been called the Bitcoin hater. I've been called the real estate hater. I'm cool with all of it. But 1, understand it. And then 2, figure out how to use it to your own benefit. So
I totally agree with you. And just as an addition to that, for me, this is part of the reason why, I think that during these periods that real estate plays a factor because, again, it's a strategy, it's a tool. One of the things that we hear a lot about is the BRRRR process: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, right? And we do these things because, again, we hear it and we're like, oh my God, I could pull all this money out and I bought a property was under market value. And that's cool. But right now you're also in a situation, if you're taking out the max allowable and your tenants can't pay rent and you have mortgages, it ends up burning you. So I encourage people that come through my program, Real to the Estate University, is that take out what you can afford to pay, period. It doesn't matter whether or not you have a tenant. What can you afford to pay? So yes, you take out the money that you put in, but if you have put in 60 and you got that and you have that there, but yet you can probably take out another 30 or 40,000, do you really need to max it out on a property? Like, think wisely about it, because what happens when you do run into a situation where you might have to utilize that strategy in some shape or form, but now everything's to the max.
Yep. And, again, sometimes people say I'm boring, right? Because I always err on the side of caution. But I do that because of situations like we're having right now. And listen, I'm not trying to beat anybody over the head. I'm just saying that after we make it through this storm, because we're going to make it through the storm.
Absolutely.
Let's be a little bit more wise. Let's take a breath every now and again. Realize that when you go into the store, there's billions of dollars that's been spent on how to figure out how to get you to spend. All right, I want to say that again. There's billions of dollars paid to psychologists and doctors.
Yes.
Telling these companies, these corporations, how to trigger your mind, right? Your emotions to get you to spend. Why do you think there's candy at the checkout? Yeah. And I am guilty of this, right? So listen, I'm not sitting there preaching upon high on my soapbox and now we want to tell y'all my faults. I have a sugar tooth like no other. And almost every time, I'm trying to get better, but almost every time I go out to check out at the supermarket, I buy a Twix or a Snickers or whatever, because my brain is like, oh, sugar. And it's only $1 or $2. It's not that much money. So go ahead and get it. And then I go ahead and get it. And then I realize, like, dang, if I keep eating these daggone candy bars, I'm never going to get out of the fat boy club. So, you know, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, they all know that. And so they use that against us when we go shopping. Yes. So we have to start smartening up and making sure that we meditate like a Buddhist. That's a famous Jay-Z line, by the way.
I remember when I was looking into my master's program years ago, I was slightly surprised that was one of the concentrations. I was like, yo, you really do have a concentration for consumer. I forgot it was like organizational psych.
Well, probably organizational dynamics, behavioral economics, behavioral finance, consumer spending. They're all disciplines.
Yep.
And they spend billions of dollars. Everybody from McDonald's. Why do you think they use yellow and red? Mm-hmm. You know, the color schemes, they play a trick on you.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yep.
So, you know, I'm just saying, be smart. Be smart and don't fall susceptible to it. John says he's in the fat boy club with me too. But listen, John, I've been trying to plan my getaway for a couple of years now, right? So don't be mad at me if I leave you. So what are some other things that you're seeing out here that people are asking you when you're out and about?
The other thing that people are asking me is, am I going to basically, in a sense, either come out of the real estate industry or stop doing everything completely? And the answer to that is no. I'm not coming out of the real estate industry and I'm not stopping everything completely, but I am being cautious. I'm being cautious to my team that's working on the houses. So one of the properties, we actually had to extend the closing to the end of April because title company closed. And, you know, because it's a unique situation and with the Department of Tax and Assessments, nobody's really answering the phone there. We're like, listen, we're going to put this whole thing on pause. So there's a lot of things that we're redirecting, but no, We're definitely not pulling completely out. I think that on the other side of this, I have some dots in front of me that I'm connecting that I think is going to play in favor for people that are doing inner city redevelopment. And let me just be very clear, I am not one of those developers that are pushing people out of neighborhoods. I'm big on lifting people up and helping folks as much as possible. But on the other side to that, I see where there is a number of inner city incentives already established for people to consider moving into the inner city, where now with the fact that, you know, we have the opportunity zone deadline supposedly to be December 31st of 2026. Now on the other side of, you know, of the Rona, as we call it now, you know, now people might be a little bit more inclined to consider inner city living versus maybe the larger homes in the suburbs, depending on what your situation is. So I see. So for me, no, I don't think it would be smart to pull out at this point because of where we're positioned. I think that you have to look at what your situation is. I would be very leery to people. I would be very leery right now if all I had was, you know, the large suburban homes, and that's what I was doing, because I think that people are going to be looking at their check a lot differently, hopefully, you know, going forward. But you never know.
I saw a study that said some people are going to think about moving into suburbs and maybe into rural areas because of all the social distancing. I think it's too soon to really assume anything on either side. But what I will say is that I'm glad to see that you're staying in the market, right? Because again, a lot of people call me a real estate hater. It's not that I'm a real estate hater. I hate the people that kind of follow the herd and they do it because it's a flashy fad at the time.
Right.
If you're really serious about investing, you got to be in it through all seasons, no matter winter, spring, summer, snow, fall, right? You got to be in all seasons because there's opportunities in every season. There's always money around, right?
Right.
If anybody knows I love the stock market, guess what I've been doing? And, I promote people doing long-term investing.
Yeah.
I've been buying.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity, right? Not even doing the fancy stuff, not doing any of the trading or the options, just simply buying companies that I believe to be good for long-term value. And again, you only need $1 to invest, right, into a stock. So instead of going to Starbucks every day, if I go every day of the week, right, I spend, let's say, $5 a day. That's $25 in a week. I can say, all right, I'm going to skip 2 days. That's $10. I can take that $10 and buy a piece of Starbucks stock. So to me, that's the win-win, right?
I actually bought Starbucks today, by the way.
You bought Starbucks today?
I did.
That's dope. That's dope. So we are. Okay. Hey, why not participate in the profit of the companies that you spend your money in? Why not get a piece of that? That's what I say every day. That's my ministry. I'm taking that on the mantle right now.
But Kamari, check this out. I don't shop there, and I don't know how to properly order from there.
Really? Oh man. All right, we gonna have to fix that.
Does. I know it's a company that you probably listen. I don't think Starbucks is going anywhere tomorrow.
They're not.
Like, hey, even though I don't know how to properly, order from there, I do use Starbucks for meeting places, right? So it's like, why not? I saw the price. I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and jump in this thing. Let me just do it.
What did you buy today?
Hold on. Let me clarify. Do not use that as an example. Let me be very clear. I am not giving anybody any educational tips to buy stock. I am telling you what I did today. I saw some cash in my E-Trade. I said, you know what? It was on the TV. I said, that's not going to be a bad investment. I thought about it before, and I just jumped out there and I did it. You just have some moments like that.
What price did you get it at? You remember?
I think it might have been. I think it was like 66. I think it was.
Okay. I tell people all the time. I brought $10 worth of Starbucks. $10 worth of Amazon the other day. Well, back in November, Amazon went up by 3%. My $10 went up by 3%. That's a better return than I would have gotten when my money was just in the bank. That's a better return that I would have gotten if I just spent all my money on buying products off of Amazon.
There you go. And
so you brought it 66. Starbucks closed at $69.90. So you made money already.
Works for me.
Now we had an extraordinary day today on the markets. Markets were up almost 6-7%. So that's great. That's not a typical day. We could have a down day tomorrow or next week. But, I think overall, once we get through all of this, the market will be back.
Yeah, I definitely believe that, from the announcement of the stimulus package, the last one, it definitely did start to have people more hopeful. I remember, I think it was like last week, I think Boeing was like around $90. Today, I don't know what they ended at, but I did see them around the afternoon. I think it was like 103, 106, something like that. So, we're seeing that change around because people are feeling a little bit, more hopeful. We have, we're not using necessarily the Great Depression as our reference point. We have 2008 to kind of go off of. So we're hoping that the administration operates a little bit differently, not giving them, 100%, the cheerleader and the pom-poms. But I think that does help as a reference point of how can we get out of this a little bit faster. Not going to be an overnight situation. Not saying that, but I think that's part of it.
No, it's similar to 08, but it's not similar all at the same time.
Correct.
If you look at the positions with the banks in 08, they didn't have that much cash on hand. Mm-hmm. Now they have like 10 times the amount of cash that they had in 08. So I think it'll be better. Again, the question is, can the spread, how long, and can the spread be contained? And, A lot of that, again, the market is fear. A lot of people's responses are fearful. I don't feel we should ever move in fear. Just be prepared for anything. But a lot of that fear is coming out of Washington in regards to the irresponsible way that they're messaging. I saw an NPR station in Seattle, and they said they're not going to cover the White House's coronavirus news briefings anymore. And I think that's actually very wise. And there's a lesson in that as well. But I think it's wise because there are people that, follow what that guy did, and they wound up dying in regards to, supposedly the old medicines that worked. And they followed this person who doesn't really have a real scientific background, let alone a medical background. And sadly, they died. And I'm not trying to make light of that. That's actually very, very sad. But I do want to highlight that and say that please do your own research.
Yeah.
Don't trust anybody, right? And what I mean by that is don't trust unqualified people to give you direction. And that's in every walk of life. But this person who's in office is not qualified to do anything. So that's just my little diatribe there. I digress. I'm sorry. Right. Carmelo said, just like anything, you must do your own research. Absolutely.
Correct.
So we're not going to stay on too long. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them if anybody has anything.
I'm sure you shared.
Carmella's like an OG, right?
Okay.
She's already in the market. She's doing her thing.
All right. Hey, Carmella. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you already said this to your folks, but for people that might be new, that joined in today, the importance of diversifying at this point. Like I can't stress it enough. I know some people that were talking about, hey, I'm going to take all my money out of this. I'm going to take all my money out of that. At this point, just kind of spread it, but be cautious, but at the same time, be prepared. Don't do everything. Don't try to, do everything all at once. Just start planning some things out. Okay, once I get to this point, I took care of my emergency savings. Okay, I got my retirement, which I'm not going to go down that part. I've already expressed to people how I feel about just taking your money out of retirement when you're not retiring anymore. This doesn't make any sense. But just really being cautious about how you're moving in your money. So yes, we talked about stocks today and, go and buy a little bit of this, take advantage of the market if you're in a position to do so. But that's the key thing. If you're in the position to do so, don't go and, pour your money into the stock market right now, but your emergency savings is looking real shaky. We don't know how things are going to be, tomorrow for that matter, or 6 months for that matter. So I always encourage people to work with someone, consult with a professional that knows what they're doing as you're going through this. But diversifying is really helpful, because for folks that has a little bit of their money in real estate, had a little bit of money in stocks, had a little bit of money, in their retirement funds, their situation, not saying it is great because everybody is feeling it, but it's a little bit different than only having your money in one complete bucket. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, there have been a lot of people that have approached me and they were saying, Kamari, I got 50 grand. Should I invest it all in the market right now? And I said, no, because what I preach is, I do preach DIY, right? Do it yourself. And I'm not going to go into my diatribe today about the financial services industry, but I tell folks if they want to learn, start with a little bit of money, right? The market allows you to invest, again, $1, right? You could start putting your money into companies, good businesses. I say invest in what you love. So if you like Apple, I got Apple products here. I got iPod, right? Warren Buffett said Apple is probably the best run company on the planet. Joanna just talked about how she bought Starbucks. By the way, let me all remind you, this is all for educational entertainment purposes, right? Past performance is not an indicator of future results. Before you buy any investment, any stock, talk to your investment and tax advisor first. I don't want none of y'all saying, Kamari and Joanna told me to buy this. That's not what we're doing. We're just telling you that you can start to do your own investment right now. You can start to do your own research right now. And so now is a good time to do some things. But again, I believe in slow and steady for people who are brand new to the markets. If y'all ever notice, I always say take $10 and put it in Amazon at a time. So if you want to do $10 a week, it's not a whole lot of money. But again, that's $10 that's being put to work that now has an opportunity to gain more money that can make a profit, right? If you go spend like $10 a week at the, like you said, Joanna said, at the happy hour, you're never getting that money back. There's no opportunity for it. Once you spend it, it's gone.
You know what you do get?
A
Calories.
night hangover. Oh, calories. Yeah. But you look like you're in shape, so I'm sure you probably burn all that off real quick.
Well,
So
I appreciate that, but I have some work to do. But at the end of the day, we can all afford to lose a little bit of a meal. We've been in
hey,
houses, eating, snacking.
So do I ever share my stock selections? Yes, Leslie, I've been buying forward. I've been pretty public about that. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'll be totally honest and upfront. I'm kicking myself. I am having a 2010 moment. I've talked about this before. It's either 2010 or 2011. I said, Bank of America is going to jump. Bank of America hit like $4.50. I had a radio show at the time, and I said, it's going to pop. I didn't buy it. I was still watching. It went up. It went down. And I kind of missed it. It went to like $9 before I was able to get in. And this was around like 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. So I always kick myself because I said, dang, if I would have just brought it like $4.50, I could be popping right now. Well, today, the same thing happened that happened to me about 10 years ago. I've talked about Tilray before. When I initially brought it about a month after the IPO, because I don't like IPOs. I think IPOs suck, by the way. I brought some, made some money, sold out, kept some, right? But I was able to sell out and get my profit back and all my cost. So I'm playing with house money right now. Tilray has been in up the creek right now. It's terrible. It was down to like $3. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's going to bounce. Well, don't you know it? Baby, let me tell you. Tilray bounced, and it bounced hard today. It had over a 60% bounce. Let me pull it up so I can get it right. So, right. So it closed the day up 56.75%. Now, you can't always find them. And I just want to be totally transparent right now. I tell all y'all all the time that penny stocks are the devil. They are absolutely the devil. They're the spawns of the devil. They're not to be trusted. However, there are times and crises like these where bigger companies flirt with penny stock levels. So Tilray was definitely in the penny stock level, and I said the stock is going to bounce. And hot dog did it bounce today over 50%. And I said, you know what, I should just buy, 100 shares, throw $300 at it. Now, that was an extreme situation. That doesn't happen every day. I still think it has more room to run, but I also feel like it bounced because of some of the situations going on in Washington right now. However, weed sales are up. Marijuana sales are up. Cannabis sales are up, however you want to say it. They are up. So
I wonder why.
Everybody has their own coping mechanism. Right?
Okay.
Everybody has their own coping mechanism. But it popped today over 56%. I mean, it takes some companies years to do that. And I missed it. So that's why I say I feel like I'm having a 2010 moment with Bank of America. So I can't get them all. I don't get them all. If anybody tells you that's an investor that they get them all, they're lying. If anybody tells you they never lose money in the market, they're lying. So, just always keep that in mind. So, Leslie, yes, I do share my stuff. I don't share what I'm investing my clients in, but I do share my stuff from time to time. So, be sure to subscribe, right? If I see you on my YouTube channel, I'll be honored if you subscribe. Joanna has a YouTube channel as well. What is your YouTube channel, Joanna?
Joanna Jane.
Joanna Jane. So if you're on YouTube, go subscribe to Joanna Jane. Again, mine is Kamari Ellis. Go subscribe to both of us. I saw you got some videos up there. You're new to the neighborhood, so you're starting to get busy. So what's some of the stuff you talk about on YouTube?
So we do money tips. So just different topics. The last one was about cutting the crap that was cable, which at this point I think cable was keeping us alive, or some form of it, but I'm big on just finding different ways to increase your cash. So it's a lot of money tips, and also about conversation, like conversations you should be having with your mate. So we did this in February, having those money conversations. So yes, are we going to go out, have fun, dine, all
But
that?
you brought your mate on and y'all had a conversation about money?
No.
No, because I was gonna say that's dope. Because I get, love and money topics all the time. I mean, back when I was an active advisor, I've been in the midst of plenty of arguments, some that even got semi-physical.
Yo, let me tell you, we
and
end up
money.
knowing all the juice, don't we?
Yes.
Man,
Yeah.
we know it all.
I don't even want to know.
Call me like, don't tell my husband, but
yes. Yes. But here's the thing, right? And I don't know, I guess for women to women, it's okay. But sometimes I'll get women that'll call me and say, don't tell my husband. And then when it comes out, it's like, oh, you like this dude more than you like me.
Oh,
like, I don't want none of that smoke. I'm here for the numbers only. The financial numbers. I don't want any problems. But yeah, I mean, that's a real thing. Now, a lot of people say that the biggest factor in divorce is finance. I don't agree with that. I think
communication
finance,
but it plays a factor.
What were you saying?
I think it's the communication that has to do with the finances, but it still plays a factor.
So you stole my thunder. Right. It's the communication around money, around everything before and during, and sometimes even after the relationship or the marriage or whatever you want to call it. Folks don't talk about it. Many times people are afraid of it. If you are with somebody, you should be able to be naked with them. And when I'm talking about physically, I'm talking about spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, financially. You should be able to show them everything you got. And if you can't do that with the person you're with, you might want to rethink about that. It might not be that person's fault, but if you have whatever blocks, you're already kind of going into a situation already blocked.
Yeah.
You're blocking your blessing and your success in that relationship. I mean, what are some of the instances you've had with relationships and money?
So because my background, I feel like I'm a bit of a triple threat. So I have, a real estate background, I have a social work background, counseling, finance. When I have those conversations and it's a spouse that's saying, I really want things to be this way, or I'm thinking about to go that way, we end up getting into like a mini consultation. And I actually try to help. Don't laugh at me.
No, I'm not. Hear me out. So I tell people all the time, I play a psychotherapist in my professional life, even though I'm not a psychotherapist, right? So the fact that you just said that makes me know that I'm not alone, right? Because sometimes you have to have these, what I call courageous conversations with couples. Mm-hmm. And it's, for me, I'm not trained in that. I've just kind of dealt with it. I'm a pretty good listener. And so over the years, you kind of develop certain things, but that's not what I'm trained to do. I'm not a therapist, social worker, psychologist, psychiatric person at all. But, here you are echoing the same thing. So what do? You were saying you get them together and you do a little.
So I hear the person out, right? And I try my best to get to the root. Like, because they often say when there's an argument, it's not about the dishes. So I'm trying to get to what's really the situation here.
The root cause.
There we go. We get to the root of it. And believe it or not, I've done like a mini role play where I'll say, well, how about we do a quick role reversal? If I was your husband, what do you really want to say to me? And from that conversation, I'll then say, can we try to have this conversation in our next meeting so we all can be on the same page? I don't agree to do anything, especially if I'm servicing both of them. I don't agree to do anything where people are not on the same page. Now, I can say this. If I've been in a situation where, it's like, hey, I recently got divorced. I don't want him knowing my business, or we're planning to get divorced. Those are like unique cases. But if I'm servicing both clients, I am helping the other person have the conversation with the three of us so we can all be on the same page.
Right. Yeah. It's always tricky. But yeah, it's all about communication. So again, I wouldn't say finance is the destroyer of marriages and relationships. I would say the lack of communication is, and the boss just endorsed me. Joanna just
I do have
agreed
a
with me.
question for you though.
So good. Go
Why
ahead.
do you feel like, okay, I don't know what the reasons are, so I'm gonna ask you this. Why do you believe that we don't maybe see as many men being like our, our clients, or maybe be working with their significant others as much?
I'm not sure I understand. You're saying
Why don't you see,
women-
maybe I didn't phrase this correctly. Maybe my first question should be, do you see a lot of men as financial clients?
yes and no. Okay, I get exactly where you're going now. Um, yes and no. I see more women. My
Okay.
clientele has always been primarily woman based.
Do you feel like there may be a difficulty with men opening up that door to discuss finances, whether it be individually or working with their significant other?
So, not to generalize, because I've run into many of the same issues with both genders. However, since we're talking generally, men are more hard headed, we're more egotistical. I think, again, not to get too woo woo, the female male energy is different. Oftentimes, it's a bit more complimentary. You have some men who either don't like or are threatened by other male energies, so to speak. Um, that's why I always try to talk to both. It's oftentimes that I've had women clients, I found out they're married. And this might sound a little sexist, but that's not where I'm going. The communication will then shift once I'm involved. It will shift from the woman, me communicating with the woman, and then from the man communicating with me. And I don't fight it. I just let it flow. But I've seen that. I've been accused of things. It can be wild at times.
It's the Barry White voice. They get threatened by the Barry White voice.
I don't think so. Nobody cares about the Barry White voice. There are some older ladies that are like, maybe 70, 75 plus that get kicks and giggles and make all kinds of jokes. It'd be the older ladies. They're the super freaks. But nobody cares about the voice. Nobody cares about the voice. Derek Quick, my man over in Jay, New Jersey. I think you need three things for a healthy relationship: communication, romance, and finance.
Put God up in there for me. I hear you though.
What's that?
I said you got to put God up in there for me too. But I hear you, Derek.
Well, we all believe differently, so you got to add a little room. I don't know,
absolutely.
Derek. I don't know how Derek believes.
I said for me.
I know. No shade. But I agree with you, Derek. And there's some spirituality, God, religion, whatever people believe. I would agree with that as well.
I think, you know what? I was saying this to somebody the other day. I don't know how, something, if it's not God, something, because running your own business and being in a relationship can drive you nuts. If it's something, believe in something else to get you through, because it's hard in relationships and it's hard running a business. You got to be able to call on something. I don't know how people do it without finding whatever it may be, the universe, whatever you want to call it, because this relationships can be tough.
But you just added a whole nother layer in it, right? Because we were just talking about general people communicating about their finance.
I'm sorry.
Now somebody's in business. Yeah, that's very difficult. That's very difficult. I mean, there is a reason why many people who are in business wind up divorced. And there's also a reason why many people who are super duper successful in business are married as well. Oftentimes, especially men, they have a woman that really backs them. Like if anybody ever reads about Warren Buffett, he wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for the women in his life. Mm-hmm. And he has a very eclectic background, so to speak. I'm not saying he's a swinger, but there's some weird things that have happened in his life that is not traditional in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So,
okay.
But it still was women, whether it be his secretary, his wife. I'll say this: his wife found him a girlfriend. His ex-wife or his previously deceased wife found him his new wife. And this is before she died. So It's different. It's interesting. No hate. Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you.
Right. So Derek said God falls under the lines of communication. I would agree with that, because if you are evenly yoked, you should be able to figure out a way to communicate. But again, people are not evenly yoked. And I know that's predominantly a Christian term, where it says their spiritual lives are not in sync and locked, but even being evenly yoked in everything else, whether it be expectation for marriage. I mean, some people just want, some ladies, right? I'm picking on the ladies for a minute. Some ladies just want a guy to give them some money to go buy some red bottles and put out the trash, walk the dog. Some men just want a fancy showpiece to show on their arm when they go out, and they really don't want a true partnership. They really just want to run a roughshod over the relationship. And so you kind of, wherever you are, whatever you want to try to establish that over time. And people change over time. So you got to have a plan or a strategy to grow together as well, because if you don't, it won't really work out that well.
You know what my pastor said? My pastor said by the time you have reached, like, I think like maybe it's your 20th or 25th mark in marriage in terms of years, you've been married to like 4 different people. You can still be with the same person, but you've been married to 4 different people. And at first I was like, what is he talking about? And then he broke it down like, you know, in the very beginning, maybe y'all didn't have kids. You had the free-spirited person, you know, do this, do that. And then he went, now the kids come in the picture. That's another person that you're dealing with, the parent, you know. So he really broke it down. And I think that if we think about the seasons of it, it's more so how do we get through this season together? And what's our mindset like as we go through these seasons, versus like, oh my God, you changed. You're not this person I thought. Yeah, because we all change. Seasons change. But, you know, how can we work together in this season?
Well, we're supposed to grow, right? And, you know, hopefully we grow together, because we've been watering our seeds through these seasons and nurturing our seeds through these seasons. So they grow up to be, you know, big, tall trees that bear beautiful fruit. So, you know, hopefully people are conscious about that. I don't see a lot of conversations about that, though. And I find that very, very interesting. And I am not the relationship guy. I'm the rebel. So we've been on here longer than we expected.
We sure did. We definitely were like, we're going to keep this to X. But hey, it's been cool. I'm glad I was able to come on to your show finally, chat. So I love the fact that we were able to have some conscious conversation, and looking forward to doing it again.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, before we check out, I just want to acknowledge these 2 comments. So Derek said, my wife is my superhero. She's one of the reasons why I do what I do. There you go.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And Derek, I gotta say, we got to do another session. So Derek is the eBay Amazon expert in my community. And so, you know, he works a full-time job and he does eBay and Amazon on the side. So we need to talk about that. Has that dried up? Is that still an opportunity for people? So Derek, we got to catch up. Marky Odom, hey lady, how you doing?
Hi.
The Glamazon right there. That is
face beat. Okay, I see the picture. All right.
Yes. She does the makeup for all the superheroes that come through Philadelphia. I'm trying to think of someone. She works with so many people, but she does all their makeup. So shout out to you. Thank you for joining us today. And I am sure I will be back. Probably the next things I will be talking about is the stimulus package and what people need to do to get ready and get prepared to get it, whether it be getting your taxes together, whether it's getting your mindset together, because we were supposed to talk a little bit more about that today, but I will definitely be talking about it going forward as well. So closing comments from you, Ms. Joanna Jane.
Make sure that, actually it's going to be more towards mindset. Make sure that through everything that you're doing right now, that you're taking this pause moment, the fact that the universe, God, whatever you believe in, has caused us to sit down. Sit down and use
your ass down.
Sat down. That's right. you know when your grandmama used to say sat down, it was real. But no, but in all seriousness, that you're taking this pause to really reflect on areas that you can be able to, you know, grow and do better after this season. I've been saying this over and over. Yes, be cautious. Yes, wash your hands. Do all of that stuff. You know, don't go all crazy with your money and your credit right now. I get all of that. But also there is a season after this where you want to be prepared. So Go back, reassess your expenses, see where you had a lot of frivolous spending, eliminate unnecessary apps that you're not using, dial it all back, and go back to, you know what? Go back to that January vision board that you made and see where you could probably be taking some of that money and start putting it towards achieving those goals so you can get back, get refocused. I think this is a great reset. And if I didn't say this yet, I'm going to say it again. Use this time period and the thought process as you're in your last 2 to 3 weeks of bankruptcy and you're getting ready to have a fresh start. Think about it like that. How are you doing with this fresh start that you're getting? A new opportunity, bills extended, bills removed for some people. How are you going to operate going forward? So that's my tips.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Everybody, thank you for watching the Finance Rebel Show. The Finance Rebel Show is all about increasing your financial IQ so you can create greater wealth for yourself, your family, and your community. I'm Kamari Ellis. I will be back, same Rebel time, same Rebel channel. Everybody have a great night and drink some water and go for a walk if you got time. Later.
All right. See you. Bye.